Hello everyone and welcome back to the 411 where the name of the game is reviewing those games of current generations to include the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Series SX, and the Nintendo Switch. And of course for the PC gamers out there, gotta show you love as well. So this guy right here, Will, is the guy you were playing as. You are a fugitive. Let's talk a little bit about the backstory of good old Will and the game itself. The game itself is set in the 1980s of what looks like America, though the places are based on real renditions. It is entirely fictional, at least to my knowledge. So Will was framed for the murder of his family, and the entire synopsis of the game, or the story, I guess if you will, is based around you trying to clear your name and figure out who actually did it. You'll meet all sorts of friends along the way, probably get betrayed, probably betray a few people. It's not entirely up to you. You do get to make a little choices here and there, but ultimately it plays out the same. Here's some money. That's kind of cool. You'll find various things littered throughout the game that you can go ahead and pick up. Some of them are pretty useful, some of them aren't as useful. Everything serves a purpose, but some of the stuff you can literally just leave laying around. You don't need to go like around this game and do massive amounts of collecting. Alright, so most vehicles you find in this game, whether parked or driving, you can go ahead and operate, which is a nifty little feature. I will say right off the bat, what this really seems like is a Grand Theft Auto, early Grand Theft Auto kind of knockoff. Alright, so that's a really good way to start this off. I was caught trespassing. Yes, you can be, well, you can just become wanted over just about anything in this game. Trespassing being the one thing as a really good opportunity for me to show off the combat system. So, you go into your menu here, you select your inventory, and if you have a weapon available, which I likely, yes I do, I have something available. We use the Canalus rifle, pretty popular rifle in the game. And you can go ahead and engage to your heart's content. Let's go ahead and do that. So when you waste people or knock them out, you can go ahead and search their bodies, take their things, dress in their clothes. I don't really know what the purpose is of dressing in clothes outside of missions that require you to be in certain outfits, because you really don't gain that much from changing your clothes, as they will just miraculously spot you and have your new clothing outfit like already detailed into their bolo report. While we're go ahead and running on the railroad tracks, I will say that one of the best ways to clear your wanted level is to use the railroad tracks. For whatever reason, when you're on the roads, off-roads, anywhere really, the police, and if you get a high enough wanted level, the army then comes in, does a very good job of staying on your tail and finding you. But for whatever reason, when it comes to the railroad tracks and the water, they just kind of, the AI must have been very well done to handle that. Okay, you'll see I jumped on a train there. That is the fastest way to get around anywhere and to go ahead and clear that wanted level. Most vehicles you find are not this easily accessible when they're parked. Oh yeah, so there's also some, you know, environmental destruction that you can do. Kind of fun. But, yeah, most vehicles are locked, or, you know, driving, you have to do one thing or another to be able to actually go and get into the vehicle. Of course, this will give you a wanted level, almost guaranteed. I got lucky with this one, so that's kind of cool. You can go into most buildings, right here for this tool shed or any shed or garage that's attached. You usually have the opportunity to just kind of kick the door in. Sometimes it triggers a alert and sometimes it doesn't, such as this. You find these different things here. I'm not going to grab any because I don't really need it. And it works the same as houses. Let's go ahead and find us a house. Okay, so here's a house. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a blunt weapon. We'll use a wrench. Alright, so, all that for that. Knock that guy out. Like I said, you can search people. Usually with civilians, they carry their house keys, which makes it easier to get into houses. It's a nicer way to do things. Because it doesn't generate an alert. And then you can go through, search the rooms. Take car keys, weapons, whatever else you find, valuables. And then you can pawn them off or use them at your convenience. Let's go ahead and talk about what you do in this game. You can find these things right here, like hints to stashes that are scattered throughout one of these 3 islands that you open up as you move throughout the storyline. And those stashes really just contain extra money or sometimes paintings that you can pawn off. And really the only thing you get for that stuff, extra money and some recognition for going and dumping off those things or pawning those things off. It doesn't contribute to the progression of the game. It's just, I guess, added like a side quest, and you can get trophies or achievements for it for the PlayStation and the Xbox. As you'll see, all of these places don't really actually have anything left as far as missions go, but if you look on the legend over there, the 3rd one down with the mission there underneath waypoint, when you're going through the game, you will have a little icon that displays somewhere on one of these maps, depending on which one you're working on, and it will have a letter of the person's first name, but they'll appear in one of their main spots around, and you just go to them, you accept whatever foolish mission that they want to throw you on, which progresses you a little bit further into finding out who really killed your father and how you can go ahead and clear your name. That is essentially the entirety of the mission system. There's not a whole lot to do for side quests if you're a person that's really into side quests and, you know, bumping up your character by getting those upgrades. So, sorry to inform you of that. Really, the only things you can do are some races and some other things that, again, do not contribute to the story. It's more or less like an afterthought. You'll notice that there's not a lot of vehicles for me to actually break into, and that's because of the fact that I've stolen almost every single car key. Let me go ahead and show you that right now. So in the inventory, every key you collect will get stored in your inventory, and they contain no weight, which is amazing. You'll see at the bottom here, your bag, it's in kilograms. You can upgrade your stats here. You'll see right here at the backpack, it allows you to carry more and more over time. Everything you collect outside of like mission items and keys and such has a weight, so you need to distribute your weight wisely. While we're going and making our way down there, let's talk about the audio and the controls. So every vehicle has a different type of handling. The larger vehicles, they handle about as you'd expect for them to handle. A little bit cumbersome. The controls are slowed down in a sense. You have more control over the vehicle. The controls themselves are actually very well balanced, I would say, overall for the game, so there's no like lagging or waiting for something to occur. It responds the way you would expect it to respond. So when you're driving faster vehicles such as muscle cars or experimental vehicles, you get a few of those that you can try out in the game, like 1950s hot rod and such like that. You can go ahead and expect to definitely lose control of it when you're trying to do turns. It handles well on a straightaway at high speeds, and I'll show you that here in a second. Alright, so this is what I was talking about, your shops. You can go ahead and shop, buy yourself things. That lockpick comes in handy. It's another way to get into places without being detected, which, you know, is really helpful, especially when you're doing missions. And then you have this option, the holding up option. I would always go with a weapon when it comes to holding up a store. And you can increase your effectiveness of that throughout the game by doing upgrades, same as if you were to choose a restraint or not. Once you go ahead and do that, you can search the rooms, and you'll have a timer there at the top that's going to tell you how long you have until the police arrive. It's up to you how long you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and we're going to go and find ourselves a fast car. This allows me to go ahead and show you another feature. So, in your inventory, you will get a cell phone. So the cell phone allows you to call numerous people when the mission dictates, but primarily guns and ammo, so you can restock up on some guns and ammo, and the car dealership, so you can get yourself a lovely car. They'll deliver it for you for a fee, and you will just have to go to that location. So, you'll see acceleration is definitely better. That's what I'm talking about here. Let's get back onto the road. You'll see it's sliding around, drifting and whatnot. It is a performer. If you can handle it well, though, these things are amazing. On the straightaways, you're moving. Now that we've pretty much demonstrated just about everything you can do in the game, which is honestly not a whole lot, let's talk about the game and in and of itself. Audio-wise, like, the music is actually pretty loud, so if you're playing with headphones in, you might want to go into the options menu and take the audio and knock it down a little bit for the volume on that. As far as controls go, the controls respond the way that you'd expect the controls to respond. It may be a little bit of a learning curve because things are inverted, especially when you're driving, so it's a little bit unique in that sense, but you can alter that with the controller setup. You have a whole bunch of different vehicles to select from, so that's pretty fun. The game itself is an open world sandbox, limited to what you see here on each one of these three maps. Initially you'll be starting off just here, and then you'll move off to this island, and then you'll move off to this portion right here. There is a transition in between, so it's not like it in real time generates into the next area. You'll go across the bridge, it'll say you're leaving that area and you move into the next area, and then you have those horrendous load times that you have to wait for. So when you are transitioning between each place, just make sure that you have the intent to go ahead and do so. Otherwise, you're gonna go and just have to deal with that load screen. Alright, vehicles don't need gas. The damage to them takes a little bit of a while. Unless you're on missions, it seems like you take damage a lot faster, and you eventually do gain the upgrade to where you can repair your vehicles, but you got to be quick about it, especially once it's on fire. Otherwise it's just really not gonna go, and it's not gonna repair, and then you're gonna be stranded. Game itself is actually pretty fun to play. If you've enjoyed any of the earlier Grand Theft Auto games, it is very similar to that. There's not a whole lot to flesh out with the story. It's pretty linear, so don't expect a whole lot in regards to that. But if you're looking for something to, knock out in a few days that you can, sink your teeth into, this is definitely a game to go ahead and check out. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about before we end this is the upgrades. So here's your upgrades. You don't have another list that pops up anywhere else. It's really just these ones, and they're all available to you from the very beginning. It's based on two things. You'll see over there on the right-hand side in a little blue bubble, the number 4. Those are the current amount of points that you have to spend. So right now I have 4 points to spend. So you'll see to be able to buy an upgrade, you need a certain number of points. For this one it's 2, and you'll need a certain number of dollars. And for this one it's 200. So once you go ahead and do that, it deducts the necessary amount as required, and then you gain access to whatever level of upgrade you have that are useful, I will say. Definitely the pack horse one, which is your backpack, increasing how much you can actually carry at one time. There's not a limit to how much space you have in your backpack. It's based on how much you can carry. Next here is your maximum health. That's a very useful one to have, especially as you progress through the game. You'll see that I only upgraded mine to half by the end of the game and was able to, make it through okay, but it is something that you should look into investing. This one right here is useful supplies. Basically, anytime you restart, when you die, you may gain like something useful. I didn't find that as a very useful upgrade, and I really didn't bother with it until wasting it at this point right here. This right here, this is what I was talking about earlier in regards to successfully holding up a store. The higher this is, the better chance you have of intimidating a house if you run into the owner, or like a store owner when you go ahead and do a hold up. Right here is your fast talking, so this basically increases your ability to escape from like a house or wherever you are. So if you're caught, you have an opportunity to talk or whatever with that person, or you can flee, and this increases your chances of getting away. Right here's your recovery. This is a good one to have because rather than having to go about the map trying to find like things to increase your health, which is still a good idea because when you're getting shot at by multiple people and your health is going down, it's good to have something to boost it back up. But this is passive recovery, which will be when you're moving away, not being shot at, your health will go up. Right here is sprinting. There'll be a lot of instances in which you cannot use a vehicle and you'll have to sprint, and your sprint is based on how much stamina you have. This right here is a good upgrade to have. Haggling reduces the prices. Sounds pretty straightforward there. Invader, chance of successfully attacking someone in their house or store. So on top of the intimidation factor, you actually successfully going and attacking them if you choose not to restrain them or flee is increased by this one here. And then here's the restraining one. When you increase these two, it increases your chances of actually successfully doing those two things. Here's your melee damage. This right here, damage you deal to unaware enemies. So basically, if you're sneaking up behind them and you smack them or whatever, it'll increase the effectiveness of that. At the damage you take to your vehicle, this allows you to repair your vehicle. This is a necessary upgrade. This grants you the ability for your melees to disarm your opponents, which is very useful, especially when you're surrounded by people. Right here, the damage you deal to vehicles, that's very useful when you're driving or shooting vehicles. Consume items when you're low on health. This is good because sometimes you just might not have the time, or you might forget in the heat of the battle. Right here is a metal detector. This is good for finding those stashes, paintings, or anything else of interest around the map. Right here, this lets you automatically case buildings, so this is good to kind of just like scope out before you go and jump into a place. And then you have your stealth, so this decreases the awareness of the people around you when you're crouching. Alright everyone, so with that, I think we've covered just about everything this game has to offer. It really isn't a whole lot. It is a fun game. I would say come into this game with the expectations being medium. Don't expect it to be Grand Theft Auto and you won't be disappointed. That would be the key takeaway from this. It's a good way to kill some time. It's fun. It's an interesting story, especially if you're into, crime things and whatnot. And if you are that type of person, go ahead and from the very get, start making your theories as to who you think it's going to be. I'll go ahead and give you a hint. Someone that you meet early on in the game is going to be the person that is responsible for the predicament that you find yourself. As always, if you've enjoyed today's video or any other videos, go ahead and show a little love by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you are aware of when new videos are uploaded to the channel. And of course, show the comments section a little love. I love the rapport back and forth between different commenters as well as commenting myself.